You are now listening to In the Trench.
Good morning, and welcome back to another episode of In the Trench. I believe this is episode number 19.
Correct.
Damn, we are into season 2 so far, and it is going pretty awesome.
It is. It sure is.
Before we even start today's guests, I'm going to let Nicole pretty quickly go over the sponsors real quick, get that out of the way.
Oh, thank you for Hillbilly, Iced Tea for sponsoring us. Use code ITTWE for 10% off.
No, ITTWE21.
I am always messing it up.
It's okay.
I'm sorry, everybody. I promise next video I'll get it right. And then we have mini activewear for ITT20 for 20% off. Thank you.
Good job. Today we have David Ziegler. He is a huge figure in the fitness industry. He is a really famous bodybuilder, and his most prominent social media is TikTok at the moment. He's building his Instagram, his YouTube. He's already a really well-known coach in the industry and a competitive bodybuilder himself. Man's is massive. Last season we had Daniel Rajov, which was freaking awesome. And then this season we have David Ziegler, which is freaking awesome.
He's obsessed with bodybuilding and fitness, so he had to get somebody else on.
I had to get David. And man is super smart. Holy shit. He told me about everything. I was mostly interested in the whole steroid epidemic going on, because if you go on TikTok, you have like 13, 14-year-olds posting like, oh, hopping on my first cycle. Any opinions? Sick cunt nation, Ziz. Like, come on, bro. You're fucking 14. Your wiener's going to get smaller before it even grows. Your balls are never going to drop.
My God. It's only 7:30 in the morning.
I'm going to throw some fucking flames out there. This fucking kid, Tristan Lee, man is ripped. He is peeled. 2% body fat, negative body fat. I don't give a shit. He is 4'7", and he's never going to grow. Like, man's is 4'7". Like, do you want to be peeled and be 4'7"? Is that like what people want? If you're listening to this and you're under 18, don't hop on a cycle. Like, it's been so tempting for myself because I've been going crazy in the gym. I just hit 275 on bench. I'm aiming for 300 in the next few weeks. And seeing these fuckers on, it's like one cycle doesn't hurt and they look insane. Like, it's crossed my mind. I talked to David about all that stuff, and he gave me his opinion. And he gave me, if you're going to do it, how to do it correctly. If you're not, I still recommend not doing it. I'm personally going to safely say I'm stuck. Just anything I'll ever do is creatine.
Yeah. That's as far as I'll go.
As far as I'll go. Creatine and protein and vitamins. But I'm going to stay natural. And I don't hate anybody who's not natural. If you're doing it because you love it, or you're doing it because it's your sport, your livelihood, you're a competitor, fuck yeah, dude. Do it. Do it the right way.
Yeah, safely, please.
Don't do Sarms. Like, do the shit the right way. And David really covers all that stuff and tells you what to do and what not to do. Don't be an idiot. Don't be 17, 18. Don't be fucking in high school.
You don't need to look that ripped.
Don't be in high school.
Relax.
Freaking doing... Come on, you could look like this natural kid.
Oh my
I'm
God.
kidding. Yeah, my little rant. I'm sorry. I've been pretty like mellow in these intros. This chick gets on my freaking. It gets on my nerves. These fuckers, 12-year-olds, fucking. Fuck.
On better news, we got another mascot.
Oh, we have a little announcement. The week of October, we're calling it.
Oh my God. Halloween.
We have 3 episodes coming out that week: Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Yes.
Each Halloween themed. And
spoiling you guys a little bit.
This dude, he will be in the videos, just hidden somewhere. So if you see him, point him out in the comments. But replacing him will be Jeffrey's skeleton. Okay, put him back. That's enough. They've seen enough. Anyway, we're really excited for Halloween. It's going to be really fun. We have 3 really cool episodes and a really interesting guest on Friday. That Friday. Not this Friday. Till then, enjoy all these awesome episodes we have. Next week, the episode coming out on Monday. I'm so excited. This has been such a long intro. Holy shit.
It's okay.
I got a chance to interview Ben Lamb and George Church, who are the owners of, or the head runners of Colossal, which is a huge company that is bringing back the mammoth. Like, they are already on it. It's not like they're going to try to. They are doing it. Like, they've been all over CNN, Good Morning America, and I got the chance, along with couple other reporters from around the world, to interview them.
It was pretty dope.
I got to ask them some really awesome questions. So stay tuned for that episode coming out Monday, and then stay tuned for after that episode. We're going to be talking like a little post-podcast thing. So really excited for that episode. Check it out. I'm done talking. Watch the episode. David Ziegler, awesome. Thanks, David, for watching. All of his information, for being on the podcast. All his information will be in the description below.
See you on Wednesday.
Tell me about how your gym construction is coming along, because that's been something I've definitely been following, and I think it's super cool.
Well, it's crazy expensive to build a gym. It's awful. That's the first thing. But it's coming together pretty well. The floor is done, and I think it looks awesome. And that was the biggest thing to have put in, because now I can just collect stuff, even if it takes me a while. If I find something randomly at a yard sale, I can just throw it down there and I don't have to worry about the foundation or anything. And I went all out on the floor, which I thought was important. There was a bunch of different options. You could get these roll mats that came out, but I got the full-blown gym flooring. It's 3/4 of an inch thick. It is fantastic. It's 5x8 mats. Each mat, I think, is sells for like $65, $85 like in there, and I had to get 50 some of them.
That's crazy.
It sucked, but it looks awesome. And then where the dumbbells are, I doubled up and got 6 of them and made like a big rectangle. So that big rectangle is like 1.5 inches thick of rubber, and it is awesome. You can just drop whatever you want and you walk around. It feels great. So the floor is fantastic. I have the dumbbells 5 pounds to 100, which is pretty much all I need right now. If I want to go crazy, I guess I go to the gym, and in a couple of years, if I find myself needing heavier shit, I'll just buy that too, but whatever. So I have those. They're awesome. I need stickers. I need tons and tons of cool, fun stickers to stick all over the racks. I probably have a dozen or two on there right now, and I love them, but I need like hundreds. So send me stickers if you're listening. So I have the dumbbells, I have the floor, I got a free motion machine, the cable crossover, which is super awesome. It's really versatile. But that's pretty much all I got now. And then I have an adjustable flat bench that goes up the incline. I have a 90-degree low back bench, so I can do like overhead French presses and stuff and not have the dumbbell hit the back of the bench. And then I have a hyper extension bar bench, whatever you call that.
Yeah.
Machine thing, but you get it. You can do hyper extensions, get your lower back. So I can rock out pretty much everything with dumbbells and cables. And next on my list is a bunch of caddy shit, which sucks because I need like to be able to hold the plates and move the plates around. And but I need a bunch of bars, which I'm going to grab soon. But then Steve in Burlington, he has this machine that's a lat pull down, but then it also has a pulley, so you sit on the ground and it has the anchors for your feet, I guess, or the pads, whatever you call for your feet, wherever you put your feet, has those jams. And then you sit on the ground, so you can do pulls, rows rather, I should say, lat rows, and then you can sit in the seat and do pull downs. But it's this one machine that's all compact and small, then you can plate load it. But it will be the same thing, the same feeling. It'll just fit in my basement really nicely.
That's super sick. And that gym is obviously just going to be just for you, private gym to.
Yeah.
Nobody
that's my spot.
That's your spot. That's awesome.
No one will have like a membership to it. I'll have guys come out, like guys on TikTok and Instagram and other bodybuilders, competitors, stuff like that, clients of mine if they're in town, and I'm familiar with them and comfortable with them. Definitely come to the spot and work out. But for the most part, yeah, it's just my private commercial home gym, and I'm trying to make it as legit as I can. So when I go downstairs or I come into my zone, it doesn't feel like my house anymore, and it has everything I need, so I don't fucking pussyfoot around and act like a bitch in there and stuff, and I can get shit done. But it's nice. I don't have to commute. I still go to the gym. Yeah. Nothing's gonna really change that far. But for the stuff like doing shoulders, biceps, triceps, some chest stuff, some back, everything for the most part, if I don't want to fucking commute, I save like an hour or two that day in driving and like prep time and all this shit. And that's pretty cool. It gives me a lot more time during the day, which is helpful.
And so I saw you were injured for a while and you're finally on your way back to compete.
Yeah. I'll probably get back on there in 2022 because I'm doing pretty good coming back. I broke my arms like 2 years ago, both of them. And then before that, I had 4 hernias I had to get fixed. And then before that, I was burned and all my skin fell off. But yeah,
How'd you get
so
burned?
during a campfire accident.
Oh, okay.
So, just being an idiot. Yeah, we were trying to have this humongous bonfire with Christmas trees and such. Our buddy of ours used to sell them, and then when the season was over, he would have like 50 trees left over, and he would throw them in a big pile in the back of the property. And after a few years, there was this huge pile of Christmas trees down there that were all dried out. And I was like, bro, like we have bonfire parties all the time. Let me have these. And I want to burn them. And he's like, yeah, of course. So we took like 20, 30 of them, as many as we could get. The only reason we stopped collecting them was because we got in all these bees and stuff like that. I started getting stung. But we hauled them all back to the house, and we made this bonfire pit that was like 15 feet high. And I was standing on top of the truck because I had to get real up high because it was just fucking so much wood. And I'm dousing this thing with gasoline, going crazy. I dropped like 5 gallons on it, drive the truck away, come back with my little Bic lighter. And I go like flick, 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 and the whole thing just like goes up in this big ball of flames, and then receded and was like just a bonfire, a really big one.
Yeah.
But it was that like initial ball, it like flash burned the shit out of me. So I had 2 second-degree burns on everywhere that was exposed skin, like my neck, inside of my face, my arms from my sleeveless shirt down, my shins, and then my skin fell off like sheets. It looked like sheets of paper coming off.
Oh my god.
It was bullshit. Yeah, it just hurt. It hurt a ton. It wasn't awful. Like there's way worse burns, like 3rd-degree burns.
Yeah.
Like mine was just enough to hurt like fuck and have like this big inconvenience.
Did you get like those yellow bubbles filled with liquid or no?
No, my skin just kind of fell off, and then it
okay.
was like the under layers of skin were still there.
Yeah.
So I looked like you know when you get like a blister and then the blister peels off,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that
it's all
super
red.
pink slimy
Yeah.
skin.
Mhm.
That was just me. Yeah. So I had to chill in the burn unit for like 2 or 3 days ish, covered in like silver, which is like antibacterial stuff, I guess. And until I just, wasn't going to get infections and I could care for myself, I guess, because I was fine. I just couldn't touch anything. And I had no fucking, I was just pink and slimy.
That sounds awful. I had an
Yeah,
experience when I was a kid that I burned off all the tips of my fingers the same way because I touched a super hot, one of those like heat lamps, also at a campfire, which is funny. We had like a bunch of heat lamps.
Like a butane heat lamp to keep everybody warm?
No. So we had like we used to go camping all the time, and we had like these really, really powerful lamps that would like just illuminate the entire like campground. It was like the middle of the night, but it would still look super bright. And I was a kid, so I thought when you turned them off, they immediately went from hot to cold. So the second they turned off, I put all 10 my fingers on it, and immediate blisters and every single one of my hands. It was awful.
That does sound awful. Yours probably was it 2nd degree?
I don't know. I was like 7. I just remember having like white bubbles on each of my fingers, and then they popped and like pus came out, and then it was that super pink skin.
Yeah, mine was like the same thing, like a flash burn, and the outside skin super pink, just enough to hurt like fuck.
Yeah,
but not enough to like cause nerve damage or skin damage.
Thankfully.
Thankfully.
Yeah,
thankfully.
So you're on your way back. So what does prep look for you right now? And
right now I'm just trying to gain weight, so I'm eating as much as I can, which is pretty much a focus on protein. And then I can eat all my protein, which is still hard because I have to eat like 10 ounces, 12 ounces of meat. I eat that, then I move into my carbs and my fats and stuff. But if I can eat all of my good food, then I'm just trying to eat as much as I can after that. So normally my meal is like 900 to 1400 calories, and then I try to eat up to like 2, give or take, if I can.
I saw
I
saw your cheat meal the other day, and it was like a pound of steak, eggs, 2 pieces of toast, and a dozen donuts.
Yeah, because that was just once I eat the eggs and the steak, pretty much anything past that I can get down.
That's awesome.
So I'm eating like 5-6 meals, and if each one's anywhere from 1200 to 2000, that gets me right in that like 6000 to 9000 calorie mark, which is hard to freaking hit.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm trying to do. Fuck.
Yeah, no, I want to consider myself trying to become a bodybuilder. I started hitting the gym like religiously back in November with my best friend, and we've been trying to get as strong as we can as fast as we can. So last November, my bench max was 115 pounds, and 2 weeks ago, I maxed out at 275.
Wow, that's great.
As like my new, and I'm trying to hit 315 by the end of the year. But in order to do that, I think I'm gonna have to put on some weight, which I don't know if I'm prepared to do, and I also don't know if I know exactly how to go about it.
Oh, I can take it. Yeah, eat like fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, like if you read some of the old school books, it's so uncomplicated. If you read the old school guys from like the late 80s and the early 90s, and those dudes were massive. And it's pretty much like you have to hit your protein requirement, and that's a lot. But then past that, if you can get it in, just freaking eat it. If you start to get fat, yeah, that's one thing, dial it back. But if you're training hard as fuck, you won't get fat.
Yeah.
For the most part.
That's the thing. We go to the gym 5 to 6 times a week. If we do 5 times a week, we usually play basketball on Saturdays as like our cardio thing. But then Thursdays usually we don't do anything. But I'm gonna start doing what I saw you doing, which is you have like a journal that you've documented every single meal for the past however many years.
Yeah, well, it evolved into just the macros. So I don't actually write down what I'm consuming. I write that, or I document that into the FitnessPal app. I love that. It's by Under Armour or something like that. My FitnessPal app. I love that. So I document the food into that. And then at the end of the day, I just spit out the calories and the macros, and I document that stuff.
Awesome.
I used to write down all the food because I used to, at the end of the day, have to go back and add up all that shit manually. So I'd have to be like, all right, what did I have at meal one? Like 3 pieces of toast. And I have to pull out like a little book that had all the nutritional information that I wrote down from the internet or from the back of the package or something like that, you know? And I would only eat like the same foods because it was so much easier for me to track the calories and the macros and stuff if I didn't diversify, because I had to fucking track everything by hand. It's awful. It was awful 10 some years ago. But yeah, so my FitnessPal app makes it super easy. I log the food in there, write down the macros, the calories, all that stuff, and then that's what I use to track like trends and patterns and stuff like that with the food, and then the training and shit like that.
That's awesome. I need to definitely brush up on my dietary needs in order to get stronger. My biggest question to you is, what do you think of this giant wave that I feel came out of nowhere starting this year, maybe that ended last year, with a bunch of like 15 to 17-year-old kids obsessed with Sarms?
Oh, the SARM wave. Oh, this happened.
Epidemic.
Yeah, this happened 15, 20 years ago with pro hormones. So yeah, it will just fade out. You know, like it's like creatine. Like I remember back in high school, people would talk shit on protein powder. People would talk shit on creatine powder. And it was only because of ignorance. Like they just had no idea what anything was. They didn't understand what nutrition was, what weights was, what anything was. And they were just regurgitating shit they heard or read somewhere. And that's what SARMs are. So you get all these kids and they can legally get them for the most part, which sets the tone so differently, you know, because once you can get something legally, it's not like steroids or something where it's like, oh, you have to go through a guy or go through a doctor and do all this blood work. It's like, yeah, you can just go online for the most part and use your little debit card or whatever the fuck it is and get some of this shit. So it's talked about all the time. And as much as steroids are talked about and people are accused of and whatever, like SARMs is like fucking 10 times more, because all those kids are like, oh, well, you know, you can always just go online and get some SARMs. It's like, you fucking stupid ass little kid. Like you sound just as dumb as when you did saying creatine is gonna fucking, you know, make me all water weight and make fucking my balls shrink. Like it just sounds like, I'm not trying to pick on anybody, but if they were really interested in performance enhancing stuff, they wouldn't take SARMs.
Yeah.
You know, SARMs work 1/10 of the potency, or you get 1/10 out of SARMs what you get out of a steroid cycle. And the side effects from the steroid cycle would most likely be less than they would be from the SARM cycle. So I don't know. And anybody who's not 14 for the most part is going to know that or figure that shit out really fast. You know what I mean? it's like the same thing. Like a kid will stay up online for like 4 hours and read a bunch of bodybuilding shit, and he'll hear the word trend, or he'll hear the word synthol, or whatever it is, and then for the next 2 weeks, that's just what he comments and says on every physique he sees that he thinks is a little bit unobtainable. He's like, you can really tell this guy's on growth. You can really tell that guy's taking insulin. You can really tell he's full of synthol. And it's like, fucking bro, we get it. You learned a new word.
Yeah.
But you're fucking 15, 16 years old. Like, you're in an industry, you're in a sea full of old men who have been doing this for decades. Bro, shut the fuck up. Just enjoy it. Like, if you want to hang out, but grab a pamphlet, sit down and shut the fuck up. And just soak up as much as you can, and stop trying to like dismantle and figure out every single, like, dude, like, do you understand how long it is to train for 10, 15, 20 years? It's like, even if somebody did try, it's like, how many times have you had alcohol? How many, like, but we don't call you an alcoholic. Like, we don't think like, so that's what it is. It's just like, oh, kids talking about shortcuts and stuff, and they have one piece of the information because they just started to look into the industry, and really what they did was they just want to get bigger, they just want to be stronger, and they don't even realize, most of them, that there is this entire industry of dudes and girls who are like, we've been thinking about this shit and talking amongst ourselves and practicing stuff amongst ourselves since the 30s, 1930s. Welcome to the fucking club. Put down the MK. Maybe you would like this, maybe you wouldn't, but just put down the MK. Don't worry about the rad over there, you know?
Yeah.
So that's all it is. It's just kids in high school and shit like that, just talking amongst themselves about how to get huge, and accusations and nonsense, and just awful advice left and right is all it is. And you'll get like you or a couple other kids who are like, wait a second, like, how come that dude looks big for real and the rest of you don't? How come this guy has a career and the rest of you don't? And how come this guy is actually like speaking about like nutrition 90% of the time? Like, is that maybe where we should focus at first? You know, but whatever.
In your opinion, what do you think is the most beneficial PED for?
Oh, testosterone is king. Testosterone is absolutely king. No Olympia physique has been created without the assistance of testosterone. That stuff is, if you have an ample amount of testosterone, you can win an Olympia. You can build any look you want to. It is the strongest anabolic there is. Now, people will listen to this and they'll argue, and they'll be like, oh, well, Tren is 7 times stronger anabolically on the whatever, and Masterone, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Testosterone is king. There's something about testosterone. It does 1,000 things. We know it like stimulates the androgen receptor and puts on mass and all that shit, but it does like 1,000 things in your body where it makes you bigger and stronger and more of all that stuff. All the other steroids just seem to complement that. Like, if you're using Tren or using Masterone, that stuff can help pull in more carbohydrates and pour more fluid into the cells and make you look a little harder, make you look a little rounder maybe, and so. But that's all complementing the initial physique.
Yeah.
And testosterone is responsible every time for dudes gaining 100 pounds.
Yeah.
No one has put on 100 pounds from taking Tren. And that's what I mean, where you get some kid online and he's like, Tren, and it's like, yo, 15 years of cycling testosterone and other performance enhancing drugs, crazy eating, in and out of the gym. We're talking every single, the dude, has he taken Tren? Yeah, probably. Why wouldn't he have? I'm sure he's been doing this for years and years and years and years. Like, if I've been doing this for 10 years, that's 120 months, right? Mm-hmm. So I've been doing it for almost 20. So that's 240 months, but let's say 120 months. Well, most of them cycle stuff for like the 1 or 2 months before a contest. So even like out of all the contests I've done like, I don't know, 25 of them or so like that. So let's say I did it like, and most of the contests were like week to weekend to weekend. So it's not really, I can probably put 5 of them in the category of the same 2 months when I was running something hard like that. So out of the 25 shows, that's probably 7. That's probably 7 months. We'll add it, we'll double it just for fun. We'll say 14. So we'll say out of a 120-month career, and mine's closer to 200 months, I was probably on Tren for 10. right?
Mhm.
I can dig it. I can dig it. What's that, like a 10th of the time?
Yeah.
A 12th of the time? So when some kid comes online and he's like, I can tell you're on trend. I'm like, well, when? From 2017 in March? Is that when you could tell? Because it's not that time now. And that picture that you're saying was trend or EQ or Masterone, or you're just regurgitating shit you heard online. I took that picture yesterday, bro. So how am I supposed to say like no? Because I've done all that shit you're mentioning. I've done it all, man. I've tried the insulin, I've tried the growth, I've tried it all.
What's the
But
worst one?
over the last 200 months. So
Yeah.
like when you dialing it in, bro?
Yeah.
That's like me looking at you and being like, you're a fucking alcoholic. Why? Because I had a beer last New Year's? Like, what? I'm not drunk right now. I can drive. Leave me alone. Like, you're a dope addict. Oh, yeah, because I smoked weed in high school.
Yeah.
I'm a dope addict. That was 10 years ago. So regardless, but yeah, testosterone's king though. If you have high testosterone naturally, or you're like really responsive to testosterone naturally, you're already going to have such a huge athletic advantage. And that's just like the normal guys too. Like if we start adding in more testosterone, like there's studies that show just ample amounts of testosterone, more testosterone, like you gain like 5% lean mass just for almost doing nothing. You know, you don't see that with any other substance, with nothing else. So testosterone, as far as like you give a woman testosterone, you have transgender girl, she now a man. You know, we give a girl Anavar or any other anabolic, she does not turn into a fucking man.
Yeah.
She's just like, I am manlier. Yeah, but you're not Steven now. Like there's something about testosterone for that whole synergetic effect of like mass and strength. And when you're in the fitness industry and especially bodybuilding and powerlifting, like that's kind of, you know, the whole field. So it's always been testosterone. Since the beginning, since the 20s, since they started figuring it out that they could, you know, get it out of bulls' testicles and dog testicles and shit like that. And then they started synthesizing it in labs, and testosterone's always been king. Always. It always probably will be.
That's way more informative than I thought it would be, because I've heard so many things, like you said, trend. I've heard of HGH. I've heard of
growth is fine. HGH is not the greatest for muscle building. Growth is better for like losing fat, retaining muscle tissue. Like growth is great. Like if you start using growth like a few IUs a day, you can diet pretty hard and it will help lean you up and get you shredded without really sacrificing a lot of muscle. Keep you from going into going catabolic, help from that. But it doesn't really build muscle. And because when it does build muscle, you're trying to get IGF out of it pretty much for that. If you want to use growth to get massive and to get super strong, you're trying to get IGF-1. And that is the a downstream of growth. So you would take HGH, it goes to your liver, it turns into IGF-1. There are receptors, IGF-1 receptors in your muscles, just like there are androgen receptors. You can fill them up, and that helps with atrophy, and that helps with the argument of hyperplasia, if that's possible or not, has been an argument for the last 5 years. It looks like it's not possible, but we're not quite still sure. So if you're going with that theory, along with just the androgenic, synergenic effect of having like high testosterone, androgenics being stimulated along with the IGF, that's a wonderful, wonderful brotherhood right there. But if you're doing that, the amount that you have to take is like 10, 20, 30 IUs of growth every day. And those are the dosages that require like $50,000 a year. And you can have like your heart grow and your organs grow and stuff like that, because there's way more receptors in all of those parts of your bodies than there is in your muscles. There's really not that many in your muscles. And then you're trying to open them up and stuff like that and tear them open so that they have a purpose to go there by training hard as fuck and shit like that. But really, you take like a couple IUs of growth, like Jennifer Aniston and shit like that, and like all these guys in Hollywood that we love, and they're like, how have they not aged? They look the same as they did. Oh my gosh, look at Tom Cruise. Well, Tom Cruise uses HGH, but so does Sylvester Stallone, so does Arnold Schwarzenegger. But there's always Jennifer Aniston, so does Halle Berry, these people in Hollywood, these beautiful people, but they're using like 1, 2, 3 IUs of growth a day, Mark Wahlberg. And once you reach the age of 20, that stuff naturally starts to decline to the point where you almost really don't even have that much. And then it gets stimulated through heavy training, injuries, hard sleep, and stuff like that. So when you're in your 40s and all that jazz, and 30s, 40s, 50s, and older, and you're adding like 1 to 3 IUs, that shit is getting soaked up immediately by your hair, your skin, your nails, like all of these subsurface fucking receptors, you know. And there's even good stuff in your organs, like it shows that there's kidney regeneration and stuff like that with low dose HGH. It seems to be all good and gravy. But once you get up into like the 10 IUs and more, you have a ton of IGF. So yeah, like the muscles are what, like 20% happier than they were. That's not a lot for the risk that you're getting out of it. So you kind of like, you start out real good with all this anti-aging effects and all of this like good skin and nails, and you're staying leaner and you're getting leaner and you're holding on to your muscle tissue that you're trying to build with steroids and other things like that. And you're doing this great job. But then once you start to push down on the rev limiter, it just gets so expensive and then fucking kills you, you know?
Yeah.
And you can take a lot. Like they give AIDS patients like 30 IUs a day. And those guys, you know, most of them don't start to get into the side effect area because of the complications of the sickness and stuff. But yeah, you can't take that much. So growth doesn't really build muscle like guys think it does. And even if you were taking that much growth to try to build muscle, you would still be blasting grams of testosterone, because that's always king. It's always king.
And what do you think out of all of them is the most detrimental to your body? Like you get the worst side effects, or just it's not worth it?
Any oral is not good for you, especially long term. They have different levels of how toxic they are. But just in general, anything that's not, like, you naturally make testosterone, you naturally make HGH. So if you went to the doctor, we can test those levels. We can look at a normal panel based off of averages of millions of people. Excuse me. We can see high normal, low normal, and we can put you in those levels with supplementation or without it. And you can live a whole life like that. Pretty much anything else, when you start adding in Tren or Deca, Anavar, fucking EQ, what else is out there? Masterone, Primobolan, Privirin, all of these different substances. None of them will have a doctor put you on that shit for life.
Yeah.
You know, they all have different side effects to them. And of course, they're all dose dependent. But that's why you got to cycle all that stuff through and, like, you know, think about your dosages when you're going to do all that complementary type stuff. The worst ones would be the heavy stuff, like halotestin is awful for you. No one takes halotestin. No one talks about halotestin. It's an oral. It makes you insane. The rumor is that Mike Tyson used to chew them up before you get in the ring and then just knock people's fucking heads off. Because it makes you, if I was ever I would never say steroids make you aggressive, except for halotestin. I would probably say it does. That one's real hard on your inside. So halotestin's hard on you. Tren is really tough on you. Tren makes your blood pressure go up, and that puts a lot of pressure on your kidneys inside, because it's really delicate. There's a lot of like tubular fucking shit in there that's really delicate and small and filters out shit. So when your blood pressure goes up, it puts a lot of strain on your kidneys without you realizing. You go a few years like that, it can be some issues with you. It also does some psychological shit to you. But for the most part, though, like, I don't know, because I've seen guys use shit for fucking 30 years and not have an issue. And I've also seen guys take shit for fucking 5 years and die. So I don't know. That's why, like, you make testosterone, you make HGH. I'm not a doctor. I know that a doctor will test those limits, make sure you're in them, give it to you if you're not, let you roll like that for life, as long as we don't develop complications. Nothing else gets that pass.
Yeah.
So I don't know. In my opinion, which is my humble non-medical opinion, halotestin and Tren are probably the two worst. But we're talking about splitting hairs of not being good for you.
Yeah.
You know, like Deca's not great for you. I'm sure EQ's not great for you. Testosterone in high dosages is not good for you. Testosterone too low is not good for you.
Have you
So
heard of
she must
that Isaiah guy that works out at the Raw gym with God, what's his name?
Isaiah?
Yeah, he works out with Bradley Martin at that gym.
Oh, okay.
That
Yeah.
his testosterone levels apparently dropped all the way down at 27.
Yeah, you come off. I've had mine at 48 before. Sure. And that's part of the negative stuff of taking steroids, and especially when you take testosterone. When you take testosterone, your nuts make it, right?
Yeah.
So your nuts make testosterone and it circulates through your body. When you start injecting it, you're going to have this negative feedback loop where your body is like, fuck, there's a lot of testosterone in the blood. I don't think we put it there, but we must have. Stop making it. And then your nuts will make less and less, and eventually they'll stop making it because your body's trying to figure out how it can. It's like, how can I bring down this testosterone in the blood? There's too much. I'll just stop making it. There it is. Bam. So once that happens, and that happens after like fucking 3 to 6 weeks of being on testosterone, it happens to every single person for the most part. If you were to pull out all of the testosterone at that moment, if you went cold turkey, you have no production, you have no supplementation, your levels might be damn near fucking zero.
That's crazy.
That's just the hard truth of the matter. It's like, can you believe so-and-so drove their car till it ran out of gas? No, that's what fucking happens when you drive your car in one direction for a long ass time. It runs out of gas. So yeah, you could tell me any athlete, I know hundreds of them who have had their levels come back at less than 100 when they were between cycles or trying to come off and get their girls pregnant and stuff. I've seen guys come back less than 10. I've seen so many guys come back less than 100. Big guys too. Guys who have competed in Olympias and shit like that. Like, wow, the most masculine men you could ever think of have their levels come back. So for him to have it, yeah, of course. You know.
And is that your goal, Olympia?
Oh, probably not anymore. No. I'm just hanging out, having a good time. We'll see how it goes.
That's cool, man. Well, I do have one last question for you.
Yeah.
What is your favorite split?
Oh man, so splits, man, fuck making fun of bro splits. Okay. The guys are so mean about bro splits. Should be called the pro split, PRO. That's what it should have been called, because that's what it was adopted from. If you've been training for like 5 or 10 years, whatever the fuck it is, you have your personal physique. You're gonna have imbalances and stuff that you want to bring up. You know, like you might want to work on chest more, rear delts, but not lateral delts. Who knows? All that shit's on your hamstrings. So what happened was, there was no outlet for bodybuilding. So most of the guys between the 60s and the 2000s got their information from magazines. They were reading pros write out their splits, and their splits were their honest splits most of the time. And they were written so specifically for them. You know, it had some dude with small triceps hitting triceps 3 times a week because he was trying to get his fucking triceps bigger. But then we had 17,000 kids training triceps 3 times a week. It was, you know what I mean? It was, that's how it took off. So the bro split was an adaptation of people not understanding how to interpret these professional bodybuilders giving their workouts when they were asked by the magazines and stuff. So they were like, that only works if you're on tons of steroids. That only works if you're doing this. It's like, no, that only worked for John, because John wrote it. And it was for John. Stop it. Oh, that only works if you take... No, that only worked for Susan, because Susan wrote it. And Susan is a professional artist. She's been doing this for 10 years. Her physique, her training style, her nutrition style is very her. Yeah. It's just like art. When you see art, you're like, oh, that's a Picasso. That's a whoever. I can tell by the style. Every athlete's the same way. So when you just have that on a piece of paper and you're like, well, you do this on Monday, this on Tuesday, that's dumb. So there's the push-pull split, which is generic and stuff like that. And that's kind of how everybody should really kind of start out. But then based off of that, you should develop your own. So maybe you personally like to hit legs twice a week, and you can. Like me, I can't train legs twice a week. I can do hamstrings twice a week. But if I do quads hard as fuck, I can really only do them once every 5 or 6 days. You know, that's not twice a week. That's once every 5 or 6 days. It's pretty much once a week. It's a little quicker than once a week, but it's not. I can do biceps, you know, every third day. So sometimes I do. I can do one of my delts. I can do my anterior and lateral delts every 3 days or so. But sometimes it conflicts with my triceps or my chest because I want to be fresh for there. So I have this split that is not set Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It just kind of evolves on. I try to train as often as I can, but not overtrain anything. So if triceps got fucking, like if I came into a tricep workout and I just demolished the long head hard as fuck and didn't really hit the rest of the tricep that hard for whatever reason, and I did it hard as fuck, like I might not hit it again for 6 days, or it might be 4 days later and I'll do chest. And at the end of chest, I'll try to do a bunch of shit for the medial head and leave the long head alone. You know what I mean? And then it's almost like the long head got a week of rest, but the medial head did not. You know, the medial head got hit twice that week, both once with kind of good intensity, once with great intensity. And so it's all this evolving type workout where I'm trying to train everything as often as I possibly can, because I'm trying to stimulate as often as I possibly can, but I'm trying to be in this gray area balance of rest. And the thing you have to remember is you're not going to get fucking smaller. You're never going to get smaller. If you're eating all your food and you're pushing the ball forward, the only thing it's going to do is at least roll forward. It won't go down. So it's not like you have to get in there and hit biceps. You have to get in there and hit chest. So if you crushed chest, your chest was stimulated, it's growing, and it's been 3 days. And sometimes you can hit chest after 3 days. Well, today you fucking can't, bro, because you did such a good job last time. It's not going to get smaller. It might get smaller if you overtrain it, but just fucking, like, don't stress about it. Do something else. Do lateral, like do lateral delts, you know, do triceps, do biceps, do chest tomorrow, but don't force anything because you'll never get smaller. Even if you didn't do fucking shit that day because your whole morale was blown and your nervous system was all shot and you felt like fucking shit, just take the whole day off. At worst, you'll just maintain what you have already. At worst, as long as you're just eating and stuff like that. Now, if you totally throw in the towel and you're taking week off and you're not eating your food and you're not goal-oriented and minded, yeah, you're going to fucking suck. But if you're pushing that ball forward, and it's week after week, month after month, dude, a day is a drop in the fucking bucket. You know what I mean? Like if you did 2 chest workouts a week, let's say you did 1 chest workout a week, that's what's fuck, why can't I think right now? If you did 4 a week, that would be you did it every week. If you trained once a week, chest, you would train 4 times a month. So it's 12, 24, 36, 48. That's 48 times a year you're going to train chest. Okay, almost 50. So if you were able to do it twice a week, give or take, you're at 100, give or take. So if you're going to train chest, let's break that in half, about 70 times a year. Okay, because sometimes you did it twice a week, sometimes you did it once a week. You're going to do it 70 times in that fucking year. You're not, like, how many people do you see grow from every single workout? They just don't. Like, you see guys come into the gym and they work out for like a few weeks, 6 months, and they get like all these cuts and stuff, and they build that body. Then they pretty much hold that for like 2 years, and then they slowly get growth later and later and later. And that's because once you get to that point where your body has been like pushed against resistance, and especially like calculated resistance, like you're thinking about your workouts, you're thinking about your reps, you're thinking about your sets. In the beginning, you can grow by just picking up a dumbbell. Because you went from picking up a pencil to picking up a dumbbell. Your body's like, fuck, man, this is heavy. It compensates, it grows. All those signals are sent. But eventually, especially once you start getting all your ducks in a row, your food's good, your fucking supplementation is good, your training is good, and then you're putting effort into the training. You're trying to train harder and harder and harder and harder. Eventually, progressive overload is not really a thing anymore because you can't mimic what you did previously because you've been setting yourself up so perfectly for every fucking workout. So even though you're trying as hard as you can, eventually every workout is not going to be productive anymore, and you're just not going to get growth out of it. It's not going to be the same anymore. We see that all the time. We see it in the beginning. A kid will get so much growth out of 3 workouts and then have 20 where nothing happens because he grew in the first 6 weeks, but then didn't grow for 6 months. And you're like, man, like, he's like, I'm just trying to get this shoulder. It's like, but you got that shoulder kind of quick at the beginning. And that's because you grew progressive overload, like we talk about, overload, compensation. But eventually you get all those fucking ducks in a row. And you creating that amount of intensity, the amount of work, the amount of overload you need to grow again, to get stronger again, is a hard thing to capture again. It's like you're playing tag and your opponent gets faster every time you catch them, right? Like, fuck, what do I do? And that's why when all your ducks are in a row, you will not get smaller. Your ducks are in a row. You're not going to get smaller. But you taking the time to really set up everything to have the perfect workout. You're rested, you're not hungry, you're hydrated, you're feeling good. You go in there, that's when magic happens, and you grow again, you get stronger again. And then, you might have a week or two or a month or a year or 6 years where you are maintaining, even though you're trying not to maintain. You're still trying to push the envelope, but you're trying to catch lightning in a bottle at this point.
Yeah.
It's very fucking tricky. So it's a big difference between the beginning of the career, the middle of the career. But if you're like if you're in the swing of it and you've been doing a good job and you are doing a good job and you're thinking about these things, you won't get smaller. I rambled a lot during this podcast. I'm sorry.
No, it's perfect. Exactly what we want. But